Well, welcome everyone. Peter Wolff here. I have Aida Batlle sitting next to me here in Brisbane, Australia. Welcome to Australia, Aida.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. We are so delighted to have you here. It is a true honour to have you down in Australia and sharing actually your coffees to the Brisbane community and the Australian community. So Aida, in 2003 really was the year, I guess, that everyone got to know who you were, and it really broke you internationally, I guess, with winning Cup of Excellence. How has that changed you as a person and obviously ABS and Kilimanjaro?
You know, I think winning Cup of Excellence, I don't know that I would have survived in this industry if it wasn't for that, just because it gave me the opportunity to meet roasters and have more of a direct relationship with them, which I don't think, now I think it's a little bit easier, but back then it was a lot harder to meet people.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously a lot of people understand that you're a fifth generation farmer. What really brought you back to El Salvador?
You know, it's a question I get asked all the time, and I don't know. I mean, it's something about being on the farms that I didn't grow up being at for basically the first time I could remember, and just seeing all the plants, all the love, and it just made me want to go back and do it.
So in terms of your approach to farming and processing coffee, it really is quite meticulous and there really is a focus squarely on kind of quality. Was there any sort of previous experience that you had in either agronomy or other business sort of practices that you had that you took into this, or you just said, hey, I'm just gonna try some different things? No,
I think I've always been, no agronomy whatsoever. I have an agronomist that helps us out. I think for me it was just curiosity. You know, being like a kid, I felt like a kid, being in an industry that I didn't know, I didn't understand. Farming is tough. And it was, why did they, how do they do it in Kenya? How do they do it in Ethiopia? Why do they dry on drying beds? It's asking the why, and what would happen if we did that?
Well, I think the world's become such a smaller community, I guess, because of communication. And only today we were actually talking to our Kenyan producer, our lovely Boyce Harries from Chania Farm, and Aida and Boyce were having good chats. And I think this sort of connection between farmers, is that something that's quite common, or is it?
It is not, unfortunately. I mean, I do know some farmers. I know the Petersons out of Panama with Esmeralda, and they're great people. I'm hoping to visit their farm soon. And then, others around El Salvador, the producers that I help with the Aida Batlle selection or ABS program. I know them as well. But it's not very common, I have found.
How does the relationship work with you and a roaster? Is it something that you are roasters approaching you, or you sort of approaching roasters? And I mean, how do you kind of manage all of that in terms of where your coffee goes, and is that something that's important to you?
It is, and some have approached me. I've approached some of them, so it's gone both ways. And what I always try to do is give them my full support, to make sure I visit, to make sure I can visit with their staff, baristas, and kind of get their people excited and give them all the information, because at the end of the day, they're representing all of us in the chain. So I think it's important for us as producers to support our roasters that way.
Outside of obviously El Salvadorian coffee, is there a particular country of origin that really resonates with you?
I would say there's two, Kenya and Ethiopia.
And what sort of the qualities that you are drawn to with that?
They're just, Ethiopia is Ethiopia. I mean, it all started there. But then Kenya, I've heard so many wonderful stories. I want to see the soil, I want to see the trees, I want to see all these SL varieties they have. It's going to be interesting. Yeah,
well, I think, look, certainly some of the challenges for East African coffee is innovation, and I think that's where they're being faced with this, how do we sort of innovate and be sort of current. So I definitely look forward to maybe catching up with you after your visit into either Kenya or Ethiopia and getting your opinion on that. Maybe we see some ABS farms coming out of East Africa. That would be great. Yeah, I know one gentleman to be very interested in talking to. Boyce, we're looking at you. What sort of excites you about processing your coffee, and what's sort of the creative, I guess, vision for when you're trying something new for a coffee?
Well, for me, the fascinating part is you always compare everything to the traditional. The traditional wash will always give you the base. And then what you're doing by altering processing, fermentation, or doing other things, you're highlighting different attributes that are already present in the traditional cup. You're just highlighting them in different ways.
I think the difference in the world today, I mean, certainly this is my 34th year in coffee, and communicating in such a direct way with the farmer is very different from when I first started, absolutely. And now seeing this kind of level of information sharing, it's a real credit to you, and I think and you know, the influence and the legacy that I think you're going to leave behind to the farmers and those communities may not be realised just yet, but I think in years to come it'll be an amazing legacy. So I just wanted to say congratulations, loving having you here. We're looking forward to obviously letting you see more of Australia, and you know, get to speak to more roasters and more of our consumers. Aida, everybody.